Hi, an ONversation here from OurNet. An ONversation is a conversation about an OurNet principle. Namely here, it is peer refinement, a key principle, one of the three key principles that we've mentioned earlier in our thread here on OurNet. I'm Carl Munson, Town Crier and Community Builder at OurNet.
And Michael Brodie, CEO and founder of OurNet.
I think you wanted to sort of preface this, Michael, in terms of we are looking for a technical team, and you were talking a little bit about the sort of people who might be interested.
Yeah, and is people who are really interested in what we're doing, technically interested in what we're doing, but also people who are interested in the philosophy of what we're doing, because it's so important to us that we're part of the community that support us, and we'll do whatever we can to support our community.
Perfect. Okay, so on to key principle number 2 then, which is peer refinement. And when I first started working with you, Michael, you mentioned how eBay had been quite remarkable in us being able to trust complete strangers on the other side of the world. Okay, so suddenly we're able to buy something from somebody in China who we don't know, and we can do that with trust and confidence, knowing that we're not going to lose our money or get rubbish stuff or whatever. That was the beginning of something, wasn't it? And this is something that you want to elaborate on with OurNet, this peer refinement process.
Yeah, and you know that works for very commercial reasons. And the commercial reasons are that if you're an eBay seller and you've got a 2-star rating, you'll be a bit like a restaurant that's got a 2-star hygiene rating. People won't be wanting to use you because they basically won't trust you. So, but if you have a 4.8, 4.9, 5-star rating, then people will trust you. So it becomes very important to you to ensure that people feel supported, so they give you a 5-star rating. So therefore, it's not worth your while trying to rip someone off, because then you start to completely disappear from the market. So taking that idea through to communication. So there's a lot in the media about fake news. And, ultimately, all news is made up. It's to one degree or another, it's all an interpretation of what's going on, and it's a particular interpretation of what's going on. Someone will tell you that it's based upon truth, but even if it is based upon truth, i.e., even if it is based upon what's actually happened, it's also an interpretation of what's happened through the lens of the person that's seen what's happened. So the whole idea of attempting to get truth will not work, because there are just 7 billion people on the planet nearly, 7 billion different perspectives of what truth is, and no one is going to have a truth which is true to everyone. So without that, you then get the concept of trust, which is a social construct as opposed to a personal construct. eBay, you get trust because 1,000 people have bought something from a seller and they've said they've got a good service. That builds up trust. We're doing the same with OurNet, is that as a contributor to OurNet, you effectively get marked, whether by sort of deliberate behaviour on the part of the readers or listeners to whatever you produce, or by noticing what people's patterns are in response to what you've contributed. And the idea of that is that you start to build up a reputation level. And it will become really important for people to have a high reputation, because the higher the reputation they have, the more visible they become. They rise up to the top. So they become like the cream on the top of the milk.
And you can also find out what your rating is as a feedback from your community.
Well,
which is useful.
You're always present to your own rating.
Yes.
No one else knows what your rating is, but actually people know whether they've seen you or not.
Yes. Yeah. And what we're doing is basing a profile then. I mean, if there is anything that is the truth, it might be that which is related to your own experience. Yes. And that's why it's so difficult with news, isn't it? And contemporary news gathering or the mainstream media, is that really you don't know what's gone on. And like you say, you have to take somebody's word for it. And bringing that together with how people have started to rate each other as Uber drivers, Uber passengers, eBay sellers, eBay buyers, it's about what's gone on in your own experience, isn't it?
Yes.
And this is here we're building a profile of what's true in your own experience
Yes.
of that person's output,
Yes.
which seems a whole lot more authentic, real, and useful than, let's say, currently in Facebook and other platforms, search engines trying to get rid of fake news.
Yes.
They're saying, well, we're going to look harder at the people supplying the news and decide whether they're fake or not.
Yes.
And
yes.
so you've got a double interpretation, haven't you? You've got the original interpretation, and then you've got the interpretation of the providers,
Yes.
the pipelines, who are saying, yes, we trust these people, or no, we don't trust these people.
Yes.
But it's still nothing to do with your own experience.
Absolutely nothing. And what's really interesting is that the current media providers are looking at artificial intelligence to filter what it is, so that what comes out will be something they can stand by. But I'm not sure that I particularly trust the artificial intelligence writers to be suitable judges of what's a contribution and what isn't. So replacing artificial intelligence by social intelligence, which is fundamentally the crowdsourced sense of intelligence of what's trustworthy, seems to me to make much more sense.
And a great responsibility.
And a great
because
responsibility.
we're not expecting somebody else to do it for us.
Absolutely.
This might come as news to some people, might it? That we can be trusted to discover what pleases us and what we trust.
Yeah.
Whereas that's been outsourced, isn't it, for decades now?
Yes.
So, who's the most trustworthy of these providers?
Yes.
We can bring this back into the community and begin to trust ourselves and trust each other with this process of peer refinement and allowing the cream to rise. And it's very easy to get into a subjective analysis of whether things are good or bad, when really what we're talking about is not that, but what it is that we would prefer to have is more the thing here, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's about preference and rating what your preferences are. So you are creating your own reality, if you like, and creating a worldview that you trust, and being among a community with that cross-referenced accountability.
Yeah. Because even concepts like good and bad are they're very subjective analyses. There'll be everything that I think is good, other people might think is bad, and what I know is that we have to live with each other somehow in this world, and we can either live with each other by suppressing all the people that disagree with us, which actually, seeing as there's 7 billion of them, I find it really hard to suppress all the other 7 billion. But the people I do try and suppress want to be heard, and the more I try and suppress them, the more I make unavailable to them methods of communication, the more they exert themselves, the more they stand out, the more they demonstrate, the more they get violent, the more extreme they become in a desperate way to get heard. You can see that with children.
With the current or recent visit of President Trump to the UK, and politics generally, very binary, polar business. The one great difficulty that's happening at the moment, not only is the polar spread of opinion and binary spread of opinion. It's like these are good or bad people, these are blue or red people. That's what seems to be happening. What's missing from that, and what we're hoping to achieve, is understanding.
Yes.
Because you don't have to like what people are saying, but the mechanisms for beginning to understand what those people are talking about seem to be few and far between.
Yeah. Because fundamentally, I have yet to come across a single individual in my life. I might be lucky, I don't know, but I've yet to come across a single individual who doesn't have that spark of human compassion, human warmth, human love.
But when it comes down to that's us, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, us, all of us.
All of us.
Yeah. Okay.
All of us.
So if you're a technical person who wants to put your developer skill, insight, training, background, experience into this, what we're talking about, into peer refinement, into creating a new basis of trust within the online communities, whether they be local communities or interest-based communities, it's very worthwhile you speaking to OurNet. We'd love to hear from you. So comment on the video here, or find us at www.ournet.news. You can get in touch with us there. We would love to hear from you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Up next, we'll be talking about augmented locality.